Rewst Flow 2025, Rewst's second event here in Tampa, Florida. A great event, all about the community. It's a nonprofit event. They don't make any money. They put it all back in, and it was well attended. It's all about automation, using the Rewst platform to help MSPs, help small to medium-sized businesses. I was able to have 11 great conversations. My first time at this event. I've been told I'm going to be invited to all the rest of them. I'm looking forward to it. It's a great community, great group of vendors, great leadership there at Rewst, and the vendors were terrific as well. I started the whole, all of my conversations with the CEO, with Aaron Chernin, and I've had the pleasure of talking to Aaron in the past, and a great leader. From Ducati rides to MSP revolution is the title of this discussion. He loves motorcycles. Why? Why would you think he loves them, by the way? I wonder if you'll be shocked by his answer. But Aaron is all for the community, all for this platform. Really great conversation. John Snyder, an MSP, a great light. John came up to me full of energy. Can we talk? It was a great conversation. From potter to partner. Told me he was a potter. Didn't know what that meant. Mendy Green, MSP geek. Known MSP geek for a while. I didn't know Mendy before this. Certainly seen him around. Very interesting. The kind of engineer that would take things apart just to understand them. And my goodness, he loves to work. But great conversation with Mendy and how he's dedicated to the community, to the MSP community. Frank Merino, from rugby fields to fire pits, well-rounded individual, another gentleman who came up to me, another MSP, has an interesting backstory, great conversation with Frank. I hope to work more with him. It's just a great smile and great presence and a lot of knowledge there. Vera Tucci, an Italian. Her and her husband have a great MSP there in northern Italy near Bologna. Tea consulting. Of course, my father's from southern Italy, but culture, communication, and cyber. We just talk about how MSPs work there in Italy and southern Europe, how it's different here. It's not really that different. But Vera gave a great presentation there at Rewst, and it was really, really well accepted. Carl Bickmore. I've known Carl for 20 years. Him and his partner, Sean Brown at SnapTech, a great MSP. They're a platform. They're bringing more MSPs on, but they branched off and made an automation company that focuses that their platform is Rewst, called Raven. Carl loves guitars and singing and a musician. And we talk about the difference between art and science with Carl. Adam Myers, fascinating discussion with Adam. He's an MSP there in New York. Tech tickets and tile games. Very interesting, his perspective on how to solve problems and what he does there in that MSP in New York. Becky Teal, known Becky for 12 years when she was at the peer group HTG. She heads up community now at Huntress. A hobby hopper, from hobby hopper to community builder. Really enjoyed talking to Becky. I always do. Hyla Strauss Stanton from Acronis. First time meeting Hyla, very interesting woman, interesting past, moved all through the country from Miami to Phoenix, gone from the hot wet to the hot dry, but how she looks at community, how she helps MSPs, great conversation. Mark McDowell, great conversation. I got to know Mark at one of the get-togethers. We were talking for a while, begged him to come on to the podcast, and he did. Leading with facts, living with purpose. He's at an MSP outside of Orlando. He is now. Great conversation with Mark. And the last conversation with Joe Panettiere, MSP legend, the other Joe P. There's been many times where people would confuse us, same initials, same first name, same, from the Northeast, Italian. I remember one party, 10 years ago, we went where we actually swapped badges just to fool people. But great conversation with Joe Panettiere, our 700th episode. Joysticks, journalism, and the joy of truth. Love being at Rewst, Flo. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because I was working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word, discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
Mike?
I'm very familiar with this term. Very familiar.
You said you're a serial hobbyist.
Yes.
Meaning that you're constantly taking on new hobbies?
Absolutely.
Give me an example of some new ones you've taken on.
All right. So I was I've been in sports my entire life. So
A football player.
I was when I was in high school, but when I went collegiate, I didn't do that. So when I was in collegiate, I was doing predominantly like band. So I had a rock group with a couple of my friends.
Nice.
And then I took a trip out to the South Pacific, and I was in New Zealand, and I got to see an All Blacks game in Auckland.
It's a life-changing event.
It was.
Yeah.
So I'm originally from New England, and so when the Sox are playing, everything leads to the stadium. So it's like one of those things where it's just one of those things where like the bars will be open, but they're only going to be playing the game.
Right.
Yeah. So like it was almost reminiscent of home because the taxis only went one way. It was a really interesting thing to see. Everything shut down. Banks were closed.
In this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza Dash MSP Influencer Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza Dash platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow.
So if there was a bar open, it was in like the radius of the pitch for Auckland. And I thought that was so weird. Like, how do businesses just shut down?
Wow.
So the entire city is so focused on the team. It's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
So I was like, man, this is almost infectious. And then I didn't know anything about rugby other than I've seen it once or twice. And so I came back to the States. As luck would have it, a buddy of mine was who I was CrossFitting with. He was like, hey, I'm going to rugby tryouts. You want to try? I'm like, what? Oh, that's oddly convenient. So I don't believe in coincidences. So I was like, all right, let me do this. And so I played for Miami Rugby for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lock while I was there. It was awesome. That's a position.
You don't know the positions.
So like there's a scrum where all the guys are kind of like pushing each other.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So I played position 4, which is one of the locks is what they're called. And that was a lot of fun. So that's an example of one. And while I was doing that, I started getting into brewing.
Into brewing?
Brewing beer. So I was doing a lot of brewing.
Getting back to rugby for a second.
Absolutely.
It's like the NFL in that the careers can't last that long.
Yeah, so you can have a long career is probably about like a 9-year career. That's really long.
Yes.
And that's because you came in at your 19, 20 kind of situation, and then you maybe took it to your late 20s if you're lucky. But the reality is that when you're in your 30s, there's actually a different league that they specify with because you're not going to keep up with some of these guys. And some of these guys are monsters.
Yes.
I played this one guy. I remember it vividly. It was Fort Lauderdale we were playing, and the guy had his biceps were the size of my calves.
His biceps.
Biceps were the size of my calves. And I thought to myself, I don't want to hit this guy. It's going to hurt in ways that just don't make sense.
And he's probably fast.
Oh, yeah, he was ridiculous. He had a mullet, so he looked like a horse.
Wow.
And he had a long ponytail thing going on. And I'm thinking to myself, no one's going to hit this guy. He's just going to free run from the – and you have to have a few screws loose to play rugby.
Yes, you do.
Because when somebody's coming at you at full speed and they look like a freight train, for you to stand in the way, you got to have a few screws loose.
And you were doing CrossFit before this.
Yeah.
Which is its own – I was doing it for a while.
I love CrossFit.
I mean, the problem there is, again, injury.
Oh, so it's funny. I one of the things I love about CrossFit in general has to do with the competitive nature of it. I feel like that's infectious. And so if you're not, like I'd go to the global gyms and be out there pushing iron or whatever the case may be. And I'm thinking to myself, like, it's just this mental headspace where you're constantly just competing with yourself, and it's also very self-deprecating. But if you're in a CrossFit space, all of a sudden, like, certain things turn off. You're looking at your best friend or your buddy who's outperforming you, or he's doing this WOD better than you, or it's a speed-driven WOD, and you realize, oh my God, I can't let them beat me. So you go ahead and you start like moving fast through that. I had a buddy of mine, Kenny. We were CrossFitting together, and we hated burpees. Burpees were one of those things where
You just fall and get up, Frank. What's the problem?
we would find that burpees.
People hate burpees.
Well,
I don't get it.
Oh well, listen. We used to hate burpees.
Ah.
So Kenny had this brilliant idea. He goes, "Hey man, you know what we should do? We should do 100 burpees every time we're done with our WOD." And I thought to myself, "This sounds like a terrible idea. I'm in."
Workout of the day, WOD. Yes.
Yes. So sorry about that. Yes. So we do the workout of the day, and then when we were done, after we came to and had blood circulating through our brain again, we would then go and we would do 100 burpees nonstop.
Unbroken.
Well, that was the attempt until we got to that point. And what we realized is at that point in time, we realized we don't hate burpees anymore. We just do them.
Right.
And so it became like
That's
this.
the thing, yeah.
It became a thing.
Yeah.
And so we found that double unders were another thing that were
Double unders.
where you're doing the jump rope and you go under twice.
Twice. Yes. Bane of my existence.
Yeah. So like when we looked at where we were ill performing in our workouts, it was burpees, it was double unders. I never had the problem with box jumps, but he did. He's shorter than me. So box jumps was a big thing.
Yeah.
And so we would go, okay, we're going to do this workout. And then after we're done with the workout, we would just go to failure often to just kind of work through that. And we were working out 5-6 times a week.
Yeah.
Keep doing it until finally it became one of those things where you just did. The brain doesn't stop you anymore. You kind of like pass that threshold of pain where all of a sudden now it's no longer painful. I mean, the body still hates you, but you moved on and you did your thing. So,
how much weight you putting on you when you do the Murph?
So
You
Murph.
wearing boots?
So I unfortunately have never been in the military, which is probably one of those sad things of my life that I really wish I would have done differently. So I love our troops. I support our troops any way possible. So when doing that, whatever is the most weight someone's putting on is what I'm wearing.
Wow.
Yeah, because I just find that, like, in that regard, I feel like I have no way of contributing, so I just feel like they're usually having some sort of significance to this weight that I don't know what it is.
Right.
And so rather than having them bear that story, I just match what they got going on, because I have nothing to offer that.
Right.
I'm just a taxpayer.
Right. Can't put. Yeah.
I have no way of.
Yeah.
I've had loss and this, that, and the other. I had a buddy of mine, Wes, since you mentioned that, and Wes only had one tattoo, and it was his entire platoon on his chest. He was the sole survivor. And I'm like, Wes, first of all, I can't think of a tattoo to ever get, but if I was going to get a tattoo, I guess that would be the one to get. And he had this thing where he goes, I every time he sees himself in the mirror, every time somebody asks him about it,
why me?
and he just thinks to himself, why me, the whole time. He goes, I'm here, they're not. And it's a long list, man. And I thought to myself, he was a medic. He was getting supplies for someone that was injured, and then some, I don't remember the acronym they used, but some bomb of some sort went off in the camp, and the entire platoon.
Yeah, you see that a lot. 150 push-ups, squats, and pull-ups. Then what?
And then
5 mile run?
it's it's either 1 or 5.
One mile, and then again.
And then you do it again.
Yeah.
You finish off again. Although it's funny, that's an endurance one, so that hurts.
Right.
But my personal favorite is Fran, where you're doing thrusters and pull-ups and box jumps. Like, That is one of my personal favorites.
That is something.
Because it's the endurance ones, you pace yourself.
Right.
Even though you're still going fast
Sure.
for time and this and
Sure.
that. But it's a long time. Like when you're doing Fran and you're trying to 5 minutes or something like that, and you're trying to really just like move through that. That's a
Fran was a big one.
Yeah.
Open fire cooking. Why open fire?
Oh man, so you know, I've been doing a lot of grilling through all my entire life. I love grilling. Actually, cooking in general. I don't want to just say grilling. I take into grilling, and so open fire created this unique thing, right? Where in the kitchen you can control heat so many different ways.
Yeah.
There's so much technology now too. So, and since I'm in technology, I hate technology. And so I really take interest in how we used to do things. So learning fire management and just working with wood.
Fire management.
So like there's a whole concept, this whole way to work with just wood, timing of that, airflow.
Because it's not just for heat, it's smoke as well.
Yeah, so that's funny you know that. Most people think it's just, there's a difference between heat and there's a difference between temperature. And then when you're working with smoke, you're trying to get smoke infused in your food, but without burning or without ash. And so there becomes this whole thing. So like oftentimes when people tell me they don't like smoked foods, I'm thinking to myself, it's because they probably burned it. It's not burnt as in it's not black, but they've like, I hate liquid smoke. Because that's the epitome.
You're right.
The epitome.
It's terrible.
It's awful. It's awful. They basically take all the worst things about smoke, and then they give it to you in this concentrated dose. What? Why would anyone want this? So for me, I find that that's never the thing to kind of do. So I moved into open fire. I started with just normal grilling, whatever, and I started changing the fuel type. I despise those briquettes, those little biscuit things. Hate those things.
Why?
They all taste like motor oil. Even if they don't have the lighter fluid inside of it, they just don't taste right. So one day I moved into like a lump charcoal, and that was cool. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And so I was using that. I was like, why does this taste so different? I didn't change the meat. I didn't change any of this. It was different. And then the other day, so then I started moving from that, and I started going, oh, this is good. So I'm going to use this lump charcoal now or whatever. And then I started learning like sourcing it from different places. So like the one I'm using right now is from Uruguay. It's a hardwood in Uruguay that I love to death. And every time I like to host a lot. An average hosting for a weekend might be 30 to 40 people.
Nice.
Yeah, we love to host. My wife and I are crazy like that. So we so one of my buddies was like, hey man, what do you do? What do you season this with? Salt and pepper. Where do you buy your meat? Costco. Why does it taste so different? I'm like, I'm telling you right now, it's a wood that we use. And so I started doing that, and then I really wanted to like dive into that even further. And so then I started moving into sourcing my own wood, and then you make your own charcoal through that process.
And so charcoal from the wood.
Yeah, well, that's where it all come from. So you start working through this, and as you make that happen, all of a sudden now, my grilling day will start at like if I have people over coming out at 4, I'll probably start somewhere between 8:30 and 9 to start making the charcoal, which is just very simple. You take dried wood, whether it's kiln dried or not. I actually like kiln dried wood. It's easier to work with, and the smoke you get is different than trying to like naturally air dry wood because it's still high moisture content.
Right, especially being in Fort Lauderdale. Right?
Yeah, we don't have that luxury humidity, something about dry air does not exist.
No, not in Florida.
On its best condition, it's still that. So we take that and so you start working it down, and then so you have to build a cold bed. So as you start building out your coal bed, you now have a heat source, and then you have to continue to feed it. And so it becomes like this pet you're going to have for the next 6 to 10 hours.
Jeez.
That you have to baby the whole time. And so I really got into this because one, I really enjoy entertaining. I love watching people eat food and eat my food specifically.
Yeah.
I love to serve folks and stuff like that. Probably why I'm in the service industry. But yeah, so I've been doing that, and then so then I started getting into like what kind of cuts. A lot of people see me do a lot of like red meat, whatever. That just seems to be like the popular ones. It's easier to kind of like wow factors.
Sure.
But I do a lot of things. I do everything from chicken, fish, wild game to turkey, vegetables. Love grilling vegetables. It's actually one of my favorites.
Yeah.
What's interesting about vegetables and fire is that they have this unique property where you can have raw vegetables and you can access a flavor out of them that's so unique to fire.
Wow.
So like something as simple as like lettuce. So you've probably seen like a grilled wedge. That's really
Sure.
common, whatever.
Sure.
And so you ever wonder why they do that? Because if you ever applied heat to lettuce, it would just wilt.
Wilts, yeah.
All right. So what's interesting about fire is that you have a chemical reaction where it does, through prolonged heat, will wilt, but on direct heat, high heat, you could actually change the chemical compound of food, and therefore now you have this unique flavor that's absolutely unique to this vegetable.
Wow.
So in meat, they talk about the crust, right? That's the Maillard reaction. So you can actually have that with vegetables,
Really?
which is super special. So like a lot of people trying to get those grill marks, that's actually burning, but you can get to that same kind of caliber that you're trying to create, and it actually make it really tasty. So yeah, man, I got into that after brewing.
Hey, Joey Pinz here. Want to take your podcast experience to the next level? I'm excited to invite you to become a YouTube member. It's the absolute best way to support the channel and enhance your connection. Join our amazing community and unlock the incredible perks, custom loyalty badges, exclusive emojis, and priority comment replies. Your voice will always stand out. Be the first to watch new videos with early access, receive special membership shoutouts, and get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and updates. Dive into content available only to our members, special videos, deep dives, and insider perspectives. Engage directly with me. Suggest podcast topics you want to hear, and even get personalized video shoutouts. Hit the join button right now and become part of something special. Let's build this amazing community together. I can't wait to welcome you as a new member. Join the Joey Pinz family today.
Here's the thing about cooking with me, Frank, is that I walk into that kitchen. I treat my kitchen like an industrial kitchen. There's very little clutter.
Yeah.
And I start pulling ingredients out.
Mise en place.
Set up the mise en place, sir. We could do that as well.
Got to do it.
I start serving people. I start cooking, and I clean as I go. And when I'm done, I walk out of that kitchen the way it came in. There's nowhere in my professional life that I get to see a project from beginning to end like that.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Because I'm always delegating.
That's funny.
And so I love serving people. I love cooking, but it's also this sense of just starting a project from scratch and ending it.
Interesting. So I guess in my profession, I do get to see beginning to end. It's actually been one of my personal drivers when I think about like what drives me as an individual. My wife's always like, "Why are you doing this? Why are you involved in IT or whatever the case may be?" I always go back to this story of when I first became an MSP. My buddy Fernando and I, we were helping this group called Coleman and Associates. There's these two elderly ladies that were, at the time, this is back in 2003, 2004 timeframe, and their technology was, there was computers, but it was a very different technology.
Yeah.
I think 2007 with the iPhone, I think that's one of those key markers of difference in technology, right? Before that, it was probably a .com situation. But anyways, so what their business is that they were doing HR services for like general practitioners. And so they spent all day seeing doctors' offices and convincing them to, hand over their HR to them. That's all they specialized in. Well, what that meant is that they would do all that work. They'd come back to the office at 6 o'clock and put in their second shift. And so you had these ladies, they were like in their 50s at the time, and they were putting in, 16, 20-hour days, man.
Wow.
And so I remember Fernando and I, we came from the enterprise, and so we realized that there was ways to do remote access and so forth and so on, things that just didn't exist to the SMB at the time. I mean, you had small business server, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about that. But so what we did is that we introduced them to a smartphone, and a smartphone today, that then compared to today is very different. But it got the job done. So we worked on creating this form that they could use, and they were digitizing their forms. And so they would be at the doctor's office, and they would be on their phone, their smartphone, and they would be punching things in. And so their work staff actually used to start at 6 p.m. because that's when they would get there with the paperwork to start working. And therefore, they were able to start doing it now during the day. So when I remember getting called by Sarah, one of the ladies that was there, she she was crying. And I was like, Sarah, is everything okay? Like, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, the business burned, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking the worst thing. And she called me on a Saturday. She's like, Frank, it's the first Saturday I'm not working in 20 years. And I thought to myself, just thinking about it, I'm actually getting goosebumps right now, just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so Sarah was like, I don't have to work today. We were able to do everything during the week. And then she started telling me how she shifted the girls' hours from 6 p.m. on to now they're all starting to work at like 9:30.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, that is the craziest thing. And all I'm thinking about is all we helped these people do was get a freaking web form and let them put input into this web form that would then go ahead and print out a report that they can then start their actual business, getting their benefits worked out, entering it into some other system. There's no APIs then, so we couldn't do that at the time. All I'm thinking about is like these ladies' lives were changed. And so every time I think about like why I do some stuff, like this is it. Like watching people consume technology to better their lives, I think is an amazing way to look at it. So I love helping people do this because they don't know technology. Hell, I don't know that I know technology. I just see a problem and I know how to solve for it. And so yeah, technology just happens to be my vehicle for. Is
that why you started the MSP?
Yeah, so my first MSP was just because I was a young punk kid.
Well, how old? What does that mean?
Oh, man, my first MSP, I was 15 years old.
Whoa.
So my godfather at the time actually was the name on my Sunbiz business because they can't let 15-year-olds run businesses.
Right.
So at that time, Digital Office Services was the name of my company. That was DOS for short, of course. Yeah, I know, clever. So my godfather was actually the name on the Sunbiz, but I ran the company. And at that time, we were working on building computers for people. We had
90s.
So this is
building
still
computers.
Yeah. So yeah, this is 90s.
Yeah, okay.
And so
before Dell showed up.
Yeah, so Dell was coming into the business, but where we specialized in was trader brokers. So we had the uniqueness, Dell didn't do like 8 monitor setups at the time.
That's right.
So to them, they didn't have the niche situation. So we were having to source products from different places to build these things.
Build that. Like in Bloomberg boxes eventually it'd become.
Yeah. So that was very cool. And then that created a scenario where they're like, hey, we have these phone systems and we're wondering, can you guys do that? I have no idea anything about phones, but I was 15 years old. I didn't know any better. So I took that on. Then I had to learn, back in the day, PBXs and things like that. Yeah. And we had the, my God, it starts with an A and I'm forgetting the name.
Asterisk?
No, not Asterisk. There's a bigger name.
It'll come. No big deal.
Yeah, it's going to come to me, and it's going to hit me in the. They compete with Cisco Call Manager. Oh my God. Anyways, the name of the product is Supervisor, and I just can't remember the name of the company. It starts with an A. I know it. Anyways, so we were doing that. I had no idea what this was, and so I had to find people. Back in the day, where you were using AOL chat to go find folks. And so I'm trying to learn something on the fly. Meanwhile, there's a production outage of the phone systems. And so that's where I started, and that's when I realized like you became this hero when something was down, and they were so foreign to them, and I really liked this concept. And then I started helping them, just in general around other things. So that was my first, but it wasn't enough to be sustainable. I didn't understand anything about business. I didn't understand anything about marketing, sales, any of that thing. All I knew was I was smart with computers, and I figured it out. So I had my first opportunity to work in the real world. I'd worked for a catalog distribution company at the time. So while running my MSP at the same time, and that was how I was funding it, because my godfather, as nice as he wasn't going to be funding a field project. He's too smart of a businessman for that. And he told me that's the only way you're going to figure it out. And I said, cool. So he helped me get with the legal nonsense out of the way, and here I was. And so I was working full time for this catalog company, and we were. My first gig with them was a client server developer, and so
client server.
Those days sucked.
Yes, stateless environments. Yes, very different back then.
So I learned that. I really enjoyed the programming element of it. I loved solving a problem that way.
Yeah.
But I really hated working. I had my sponsor was this lady, Claudia. I can remember her vividly. She would change her mind every single day.
Scope creep on
It was out of control.
Yeah.
And so Mark Starr was my boss at the time, this Russian guy. Imagine the most stereotypical Russian individual you could ever meet. This was Mark Starr with like...
Brilliant,
Yes.
but short-tempered.
And the bottle of vodka on his desk.
Well, yes.
Literally.
Yes.
And so so Mark one day asked me, he goes, Frank, what's the status of our... I was at the time, it was an asset management solution for corporate-owned assets. And I said, Mark, honestly, I've made no progress. And he goes, Frank, you've been on this for months. I go, yeah, well, the problem is that Claudia keeps changing her mind, this, that, and the other. Again, I'm still a punk kid. I'm not even 18 years old at this point in time. And he's like, come with me. I solve. I'm like, all right, cool. He spoke just like that. His accent was better than mine, but that's fine. So we sat down one day. It's Claudia. It's Claudia's boss. It's Mark and myself. And he hands out a sheet of paper to Claudia and goes, you write and he build. Whatever you put here is what's going to happen.
Good.
If it's not on here, it's not going to happen. So she started doing this whole song and dance of like, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing, this, that, and there. He goes, no, that's not what we're doing here. You write. And like he just like shut down the argument.
You're making an SRS. Nice.
So crazy.
Yes.
Because he was like, I'm not going to let you win this.
Right.
He's going to let you win by you're going to get what you asked for.
Right.
And so at the end of it, she gave all these requirement lists, had her boss sign it, had her sign it. I signed it. He signed it. It's cool. You have until the end of the summer to fix this. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, that's not enough time. And he goes, figure it out. And I'm like, all right, cool. So now I'm working around the clock doing this thing. I probably broke all kinds of labor laws at this point in time because we were not supposed to be working this many hours. And so we're working through all this. And I built this solution until the day that company was then sold, whatever, they were using it. And and that's when I was like, when I was done with that project, I realized, you know, I liked this. I loved helping someone. I don't know that programming was for me. So I used that scripting to move into something else. And I moved into the help desk world because there was a slot open. And we were servicing like 2,000 people with like 3 guys. And so like when I hear today about like, you know, like the MSP numbers, like how many endpoints to Rewst techs or, you know, users, like I love hearing this because I'm thinking to myself, and back in the day, I was doing this without the technology you have today. And in all fairness, there's a lot more to deal with today too, so I'm not going to discredit that. But it was awesome. I learned there was a gentleman by the name of Herb Ellis. This guy had a voice like Barry White. People would call screaming. And he'd open up the phone. Thank you for calling the Hope's Ass. And he had this voice that was just like so deep. You immediately like whatever you were dealing with, he just brought you down. It was so amazing. And I was wanting, like, I learned from that time period, I learned how he kind of like diffused the situation and how he would insert enough personal to like connect with them, but not derail the conversation. He'd come back and he had a way of like bobbing and weaving within the conversation. It was so amazing. And I was a kid, I was looking at this thinking to myself, this is amazing.
So starting your MSP.
Yeah.
You started the first one.
Yes.
And why did you end it?
Oh, so I didn't end it. My partner and I, we were given an opportunity to work with another MSP. We were doing, at the time, Microsoft had these SMB partner events.
Oh, yeah.
Like these like partner-led groups. IMCP was, I think, one of the major ones. Yeah. And so we were asked to present one time because we were always doing these like we were doing PK at the time when nobody was doing that kind of stuff, and we were bringing all this stuff from the enterprise and bringing it down to the SMBs. So one day, this gentleman approached me, who ultimately became my new business partner. Him and his partner, they're like, hey, we should join forces. It would be really cool. They had this whole business going on, another MSP. And so we joined forces. And so I mentioned at this point in time, I have not really learned the business element. So I was very much all about operations, solutioning, vision, that kind of stuff. But in terms of running the business, the sales, this, that, and the other, it was all word of mouth. It was all something fell on top of my lap through conversation, this, that. So I was loving the idea. They had a whole arm of this. But one of the things I forgot to learn was how important it is to have really good partners. So this is now my second MSP, and for lack of disclosure reasons, I'm going to leave the names out.
Oh, boy.
But I ended up selling that after a few years for $1 back to my partners.
I wanted to get out.
All I wanted to do was get out.
Yeah.
And there was all these like tipping points that I learned along the way, just like how important it was to vet your partners so that you understand, like, you're not just working together, you're married. You know, like there was a concept that I really didn't understand at this time, but I learned. Boy, did I learn.
So you started another MSP.
So after that, day one.
You didn't have a non-compete?
No. Well, I had non-compete against their customers.
I see, of course.
Yeah, but that was fine.
But you're in the same geo.
Yeah. So sold. Next day, I had no idea what I was doing. I called a buddy of mine who I had done some work for. It was an airline software company. And I said, hey, man, would you be cool if I consulted for you guys and whatever? And he was like, oh, we're going through this massive transformation right now that we could really use your help. So I said, but I can't do it as an employee. And so now my third MSP got created. And so I started to consult for them exclusively. It was a one deal kind of situation. And that got me through the early days. And then while I was at the other MSP, my previous one to that, I had headhunters calling. And they were looking to hire me because I had a very specific skill set around exchange. And so they were looking for people that had this skill or whatever for this big project. And so, as luck would have it, when they were talking to them, I said, I know you can't hire me. You can hire my company. At the time was the previous MSP. Well, they didn't want to do that, so forth and so on. Well, apparently that project finally came to fruition several months later. Like, we're talking like maybe 6-7 months after that. And so I said, well, listen, deal still remains. You can definitely, I'm independent now. I don't have a whole team, whatever, so my rates were different, all kinds of stuff. So then I met the group that was looking to hire me. And so we talked about it and whatever and explained what we were doing, so forth and so on. So they worked with me, and so I started consulting. So this is now my second client in doing this. And so I wrote this great piece of software for, I don't know if you're familiar with Exchange and DAG, database availability groups, but back in 2007, Exchange 2007, I basically wrote this for Exchange without Microsoft writing theirs later. So we were taking advantage of the current technologies in place and basically wrote this PowerShell driven application to make this happen. And I had a lot of fun doing this. I was trying to use this as my submission for an MVP, Microsoft. But unfortunately, I had signed something that it wasn't mine, so I was very disappointed.
You couldn't do it.
And my which is now my partners, had like they had the royalties on this, so it was something like that I couldn't sign. Well, anyway, so fast forward, I've been now working with those guys for like 2 years now at that time. And my contract with my other company kind of, finished, whatever. They ended up selling to somebody, and they didn't need me anymore, and that's fine. And so they're like, hey, you've been working with us now on contract work for years. You should come on board. And I said, well, I would do that, but only under these conditions. And I've now been working with these guys for 2 years, and it was like a perfect opportunity where I realized, like, these are who I want in partners. People that really understand what it's like to take care of a customer, solve something, you know what I mean, and not just like trying to earn money for the sake of earning money. This is a really interesting way of working through that. So as I started going through that, that's where I'm at now. I've been there for 20 years. I love every minute of it.
Jeez. So we're here at Rewst Flow. Is there a second? What are some of your goals this week?
Well, for starters, I was a speaker. So honestly, I'm really interested to see how others are trying to position automation to end clients. So when I talked to Aaron about 2 years ago, we've been an early Rewst adopter. I shared with him, I said, look, man, I couldn't care less to automate a single thing internally. I said, I'm always looking for how to automate and help my customer.
Right.
And this obsession that people have with automating internally is awesome. I think that helps them learn the business and concepts and challenges and all that other jazz. But all I've done my entire life is help a customer. So like any notion of that. So anyways, I've been thinking about what are new ways we can do that, how we can go ahead and position our services, not necessarily to just hear what others are doing and kind of learn from that. So seeing that kind of capacity, support the community is another one. I anytime someone wants to ask something, I'll be more than happy to give my 2 cents. I think
Good
that
for you.
community is one of those things that is, I think everyone understands the value, but it's oftentimes misunderstood.
It sure is. And Aaron promotes that very well here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aaron is a special individual, and I don't say this just because I know him personally. I just feel like he really is someone different.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I hope more people like adopt. But it's hard to hear that because sometimes people go, yeah, no, we're all about community, but their definition of community is like, I'm going to scratch your back so you can scratch
Quid pro
mine.
quo,
And I don't know that Aaron does that at all.
I don't think he does.
I don't think he actually needs the second half to happen. He just wants to help.
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypins.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it.
I love that. I find that to be so...
It's refreshing, and hopefully it's viral. So I started my MSP back in the 90s, Frank, and I was working, 14, 16-hour days. You're no stranger to this. And next thing I know, I'm in front of the doctor. She tells me I'm at 340 pounds. I had gained an incredible amount of weight. She says, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. Scared the hell out of me. So I spent the next 6-7 months, lost about 120 pounds, kept it off. You got to look at it as a finish. You can't look at it as a finishing line, right? These are lifelong changes. When people ask me how I did it, what's your secret? I say there's no secret. Discipline. That's how I lost. I said focus, routine, restraint, willpower. How does discipline play a role in your life?
I'm going to answer this question, but I want you to know something because you hit something very personal to me right now.
Okay.
I am actively in that very same situation.
Really?
Yeah. I actually, while I was here, I had to step out. I was changing some procedure plans and this, that, and the other. I'm a dad.
Yeah.
And I love my kids to death. And to the idea that I can't see my kids graduate or get married, have kids of their own, that notion scares the living hell out of me. So you hit something personal. I don't think you did that on purpose, but I want you to know that I feel for you.
Yeah.
I did not know that story, but you gave me goosebumps immediately. So discipline is one of those things that I think whether it's your business, whether it's your life choices, these are things that discipline comes with willpower.
Yeah.
This is a marriage between these two. You have to, discipline is the act of being consistent, right? Willpower gets you through the times where you are less than consistent. And so you need to work those two together. And so I think in my business, one of the things I've kind of focused on is that I oftentimes get presented with information. The industry is going this way. They're going to zig and I'm zagging, And I'm not going to here to say that I'm the best MSP in the world. I wouldn't do that. I don't think that's an accurate statement. I think that, but that discipline is like knowing that what I'm doing right now is working. It may not look like it's working all the time, but it's definitely working. That's where discipline of consistency and working through that, right? Having a goal, a plan in mind, like that's bigger than you. And then you can use your willpower to kind of move you through that. I think that that's something that people will hopefully capture and work through and see that in their own businesses, right? If you're just, I don't know how biblical you guys tend to get, but Jesus talks about not being like with the wind or the waves, right? Like that just you kind of come in and go, and I see that in a lot of people's businesses that this looks hot, so I'm going to go chase that. And then it's less than hot or not as shiny anymore, and they go to the next shiny option. They're kind of like bobbing and weaving all the time. And I think that being steadfast is one of those areas that I'd like to believe that we are. That doesn't mean that we're not trailblazing sometimes, but I think that we're not easily swayed. And so I think that's one of those things that discipline helps people with, for sure. Absolutely.
Very cool, Frank. So cool talk with you. Anybody watching, listening, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn if you're more than welcome to that, or my email is frankm@forthright.com.
Frank M at
Forthright, FORTHRIGHT.com.
and your last name?
Merino, MERINO.
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 Frank, thank you so much.
Pleasure, man.
It's
Thank
a great
you.
pleasure.
Likewise, man.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.